I think one of the questions that also kept coming in, because we took questions from when people registered, is tracking or measurement. I think measurement is also it's a little bit, it has become a sensitive topic now, because a measurement is part of strategy, because if you set the goal, you would need something to measure your progress towards that goal, right? So how do you think about measurement? And it's so tricky, right? Because we have these customer calls and they're like, okay, these 10 influencers posted in the last week, we got this much in sales, but pretty much all the clicks kind of came, like the affiliate sales came from these 3 people. Does that mean the other 7 were useless? I'm like, no. Don't treat them like they're ad assets, right? It's not an ad. It's like those 3 only were able to make the sale because those other 7 did all the priming and all the customer education. And then finally, some people clicked and bought. How do you think about, so like affiliate is definitely one way to track, like directly track using links or discount codes. Another way is just track using total, like, hey, we spent this much on influencers. This was our incremental revenue, like super high level. How granular do you get? What metrics should brands even be tracking at different phases of their program? Can you talk a little bit about measurement and how you think about that?
Yeah. It's definitely a painful point for everyone.
Yeah.
That is because, and I want to tell everyone in this call, attribution is shit. Excuse my French, like everywhere.
I'm gonna
Like
write that down. I'm writing that down.
you talk to anyone in the space, anyone who deals with data, and they will tell you we are lying. We are lying to ourselves every day, all day. This is why, again, it links to that behavioral part, because if you just see the data without understanding what's behind it, you make a lot of assumption. For example, how a lot of marketers made assumptions about saves being a really important metric, being qualitative engagement. However, what I found, I had like a few clients that literally went in and I asked them, put it in the survey and ask your customers, because they were focusing on saves. They were like, saves, Instagram told us saves are really, really important. So we're focusing on that. And I was like, great, go take a sample of like 600 of your customers, send a survey out and ask them how many of them go back to their saved posts. Do they save posts? Because I save posts and they just go into a black hole I never revisit. There might be other people that save, for example, if you save recipes or stuff, again, with that intentional scrolling, you create a collection of things that you want to revisit, right?
Yeah.
Turns out those people did not go to the saved post. They were like, I don't remember why I saved that. I don't know what's in my saved post. Ask them what's in this. I don't know what's in my saved post.
Yeah.
Completely different situation with shares, because interestingly enough, people could recall what they shared because it had an emotional, in order to share and in order to disrupt your experience on an app, you have to like have an emotional connection to that. So they remember that, oh, yeah, I shared on WhatsApp. I shared it like that and that and that. And I shared it with my aunt because she wanted to buy, I don't know what, from Amazon. And I shared this with her, right? So don't make any assumptions on like the intention behind data. You need to like ask and connect those dots. This is why I don't like going crazy with KPIs in the first place. So keep it very, very light. Choose 2 or 3 that you want to focus on. Again, this goes back to the strategy. If you did your strategy right, there's no need for you to go crazy with KPIs, because you know exactly what you want to achieve, and you have maybe like 2, 3 max KPIs for every initiative that you establish within your strategy.
Yeah, understood. How do you, what are some, I think even with that, some brands may ask, what are those 3 KPIs that we should focus on? Okay, I won't care about all the 12 different things. So what are the top 3, or what are the, depending on their goals, maybe like how would you, or by phase, like usually the way we recommend is we do it by phase. But then how do you sort of track? Because initially you have nothing to track. Like for the first 2 months, really, like you're only inputting. So you track your input metrics, and then you slowly track like how many posts, and then eventually impressions, eventually sales. How do you go about this? Sort of, do you break it down into like a quarterly or a monthly, like, hey, month 1 track that, month 2 track this, month 3 track that? How do you go about, like, what are the exact KPIs that you would recommend brands track?
Yeah. So I track like 3 sets of KPIs. That's how I keep it, because sometimes you you start, a lot of people just focus on like the performance KPIs, which performance is like a very vague term. Like what's performance? What's performance? You're
Yeah.
kind of like trying to do what's happiness? What's love? It's
Yeah.
performance. I don't
Yeah.
know. So I divided into like not the silo, but like the pieces of your program. So one piece of your program is your team. One piece of your program is your content, and one piece of your program is the impact that the content drives. So it could be sales, it could be like whatever. So in the team performance KPIs, I track everything that the team does. So every single, from like building the database, right? Influencers added. You don't need to focus on the names of like the KPIs. Just, you just need to be clear on what you want to track. So how many influencers are we discovering each month, right? If you're doing like a mix of manual and platform vetting, how much outreach are you doing? What is the open rate? What is the reply rate on that rate? How many people say yes from that? What is your posting rate? This is like a really big one, because you want to understand how many emails am I sending, and how many people am I actually achieving signing from that? Because I'm not a fan of like going out and contacting 20,000 influencers a month. I don't want to do that.
Correct. Yeah. I like it. Yeah. And we also posts per creator is such an important metric, because if you're doing seeding or gifting or affiliate, like you really want to track how many times are these people, are they only posting once? Which is fine, because you send them a free product, they post once, but are they posting like thrice? Like maybe you should work with that creator more, because they really love your product. I really like the attribution is shit line. I say I have a more neutral version of that, where I say attribution is not causation, because a lot of times what happens is like people would see influencers post about you, and they would Google search, and they would click on a Google ad and they would buy, or they're more primed to click on a Facebook ad and then buy. But then the attribution goes to Google or Facebook, but all the actual demand was driven by the influencer, because they did that, what you said, like shifted perception enough so that the person would Google you 7 days later, they clicked on an ad and they bought. So the attribution went to Google, but it's not causation, right? So I like to say attribution is not causation. So